everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jen Rains. I am a yoga teacher with the studio at Pantera and 8 Limbs Wellness Center. And I just wanted to share a short yoga practice with you that's good for beginners if you've never done yoga, or some of my students, a little bit of a reminder. You know, everything is so different. You know, we're not gathering in groups anymore. Some of us are a lot more sedentary. We've done a lot of sitting. There's a lot of stress, so a lot of us are in our heads. You know, we need to get back into our bodies. And for those essential workers, maybe you're working 12-hour days and you just haven't had a chance to rest or do any self-care. So I wanted to offer something for all of you, on either end of the spectrum. And, for those of us that have been, sitting, that have, lost our work and lost our job, we're forced to stay at home, there's a lot more sitting, so there's a lot of tightness. Our hamstrings are tight, our quadriceps are tight, our hips are tight, and, that's not helping for a clean flow of energy through the body. And, we're also worried, financially worried about our loved ones, our friends. And, I'm also a massage therapist, and the lack of human touch has really affected me. I love to hug people, I love to be with people, and it's been a big adjustment, to, just be socially distant with people. It's not my nature. So it's been an adjustment, and I just want to do something that maybe to help us feel a little more connected into our bodies. So you'll need a couple things, if you can find them. So I have, what we call a Mexican blanket here. In any blanket will do. Something that's, has a little more stiffness to it works a little bit better, but anything can work. I also have what we call a bolster at the yoga studio, and this is pretty stiff. So if you have like one of those big body pillows or anything at all, maybe you have a couch pillow, so it doesn't sink down too much when I sit on it. But again, not completely necessary. And I do have some yoga blocks. I'm actually in the process of moving, so I'm not sure where my other ones are. So whatever you can find that is this shape, so a book. I actually only have one, so I found a box. That you want them to be reasonably the same size. It's okay if there's a little difference. We're all winging it here with everything. And also, I have a yoga strap here, but you can also use a belt, like a clothing belt, anything. It's not necessary to go out and buy props, so whatever you have around is gonna work fine. All right, so the first thing we wanna do is create a healthy seat. So what I'm going to do, you have a couple options. You can either fold a blanket like so. So it's going to kind of look like this and have the point kind of coming between your legs. And we're gonna just cross our legs here, or you can sit on the bolster. So the point of sitting on something is to create all natural curves of the spine. So if we're spending a lot of time on the couch watching Netflix, maybe some of you are having to work at home, so you're sitting in one place. The hips are tight and the hamstrings are definitely getting tight, which can create what I call the SAP, the Standard American Posture. And the Standard American Posture is this. So the shoulders are rounded forward, the chin is forward, and your spine is like a C curve. So all the 4 natural curves of the spine, we want to have the tailbone that goes under here, the low back goes in, the upper back slightly goes out, and then the cervical spine that goes in. And when we sit on top of something, that happens a little easier. So go ahead and find your seat. And then you want to get acquainted with your sit bones. So you're going to rock back and forth to the front, to the back. So we're just trying to find and get acquainted with the sit bones. And then once you've rocked back and forth, see if you can rest towards the center, maybe even a little tilted forward. Because again, typically our posture is we're going to dump into that low back. So, we see a lot of low back issues, L5S1, and all in that area. So we want to make sure that we're allowing just that natural curve. It doesn't have to be forced. And again, the tighter you are, the higher up you'll want to sit. So you can make stuff up, add pillows, add more blankets, toilet paper, whatever you have around. Oh, toilet paper can also be used as yoga blocks, I have learned. So from here, on an inhale, raise the shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, set them down. So I'm just going to do a couple up, back, and down. So we always want to liberate the neck from the shoulders. A lot of time when we're tense and we're sitting on the couch, we start stressing about anything, the unemployment website, anything that can be creating worry, and our shoulders are creeping up and up. So we just want to exhale them down. So all that stress can live in the body, and it creates tightness in certain places. It'll create instability and weakness in other places. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes here. Just check in with yourself. So ask yourself, how are you feeling? And maybe you haven't really asked yourself that since this whole thing started, since we've been in quarantine. You've just been worrying, doing, running, worrying about a trip to the grocery store is stressful. Who's touched this, and we just don't know. There's a lot of unknown, there's a lot of fear. And it's important to acknowledge where you are and how you're feeling, before we can grow and transition and transform out of that state. So just allowing yourself to land and be wherever you are. Just notice how the breath is showing up in the body. And drawing your focus to the breath. So maybe you're focusing on the belly, the rib cage, your heartbeat. So anything that draws you into this moment. This whole experience can be used as a tool to go deeper in. But there's a lot of roadblocks, all of the uncertainty, all of the fear, all of those things that take us out of the present moment. And we just start small. Just focus on your breath. And every time the puppy mind, wanders off from the present moment, you start thinking about the groceries, you start thinking about where you have to go tomorrow, how much toilet paper's left, do I have enough hand sanitizer? So it's very easy to go off on those tangent thoughts. And every time you notice those, just consciously bring your awareness back to your breath. And then let's open our eyes. All right, we're going to chant Om. So this is a Shruti box, and it's just going to create a little drone sound. I'm not sure how this is going to show up in the video, so it might sound horrible. I'm just going to go with it. So the chant Om is 4 syllables. It's A-O-U-M. And what I've been using for in this experience is all of those, the stagnant feeling, all of that fear, all of that uncertainty. I've been using Om, generating the sound from here and just trying to move it through my body, use that vibration just to clear everything out and start over in a new moment, in a new presence. I'm just going to chant a few times. So, sometimes, you feel kind of strange making this sound. I think in our society, we're hushed more than anything. We're never encouraged to call out, to use that energetic output and, to really have our voice and to sound our voice. So I'm inviting you to find your voice and move that energy, move that stagnant, all those stagnant feelings through your body. So just start to deepen your breath a little. Take a deep breath in. My favorite part of the chant is right after experience the stillness. I think that's the stillest my mind is, right after the chant. All right, so we've been sitting for a minute, so let's get up off of our prop. And we're going to come over to a mat. Oh, you will need some kind, if you don't have a yoga mat, just try to find the least slippery surface you can get your hands on. If you're local here in Westfield, I do have a couple extra mats that I can disinfect, and you're welcome to borrow them. So I am a big wimp about putting my knees directly on the mat, so I'm going to unfold my blanket and put it under my knees. So when we have that standard American posture and our hamstrings and our quadriceps and our hips are really tight, and that's, when it gets too tight, it's dictating the movement of the spine, and we're not able to have that fluid movement. So these are the spinal waves, and the spinal waves are going to help us move our spine through all of its range of motion without the hamstrings being an issue, because we're going to have our knees bent. So whenever we have any kind of weight on our hands, we want to make sure that the hands are spread and the weight is mostly in here, but moving out. So you're really going to create a relationship from the mat, with the mat and your hand. Going to have the knees about under your hips. So the first thing we want to do is you want to check in with your face and your jaw too. A lot of times when we're doing something new, we have a tendency to clench our jaw. So just let the spine hang. Just let the belly be soft, let the head be soft. Take a couple breaths. And then we're going to move into flexion. So tucking the tail under and moving back slightly towards your heels. And just feel that openness in the back body, feeling your back muscles opening up. So all of the organs in the back get a little stretch there. And then hips back over the knees. We're going to lift our sit bones, lift the heart, but making sure that you're not reaching forward with the chin. So you're still going to keep the chin down. So when I teach kids yoga, I call this rainbow and hammock. So on the exhale, we create the rainbow and flexion, and the inhale is hammock or extension. So just taking a few breaths. So exhaling back, inhaling forward, exhaling back, inhaling forward. And also making sure that you're not coming way forward. So on the exhale, the sit bones go back a little. On the inhale, it's just shoulders over wrists and knees under hips. All right. So lateral flexion, this one is a little tricky. So I'm going to face you guys to do this one. So if this is the spine, we have flexion, we have extension. So lateral flexion is going to be from side to side. Maybe this you can see. So we're going to go into a little bit of flexion. So we're not in super flexion, just in slight flexion. And then it's almost like you're doing a side crunch. You're going to bring the shoulder, the right hip and the right shoulder towards each other. So I like to imagine that I'm wearing a sweater and somebody has grabbed a string that's come loose and they pull it. So one side of the sweater is getting shorter. And then back to center. You're going to reach, tuck in the pelvis a little, and then go to the left. Back to center, retuck the pelvis, back to the right, back to center, retuck the pelvis, to the left. All right, so we've done flexion, extension, lateral flexion, and we can also twist the spine, revolve the spine through its axis. So this is going to sound like twister. We move the right knee forward and the left hand slightly forward. Take the right hand on the right hip and you're going to twist to the right. So you can look up. I don't really like how that feels on my neck. So I'm looking down at my left hand, or you can just look to the side. Whatever feels comfortable. So feel the spiral in the spine from the sit bone all the way through the top of the head. And don't forget to breathe. And then coming down, take a breath here. And then left knee forward, right hand forward, hand on the left hip, and twist. And then coming back down, maybe you do one more flexion, extension. So even just the spinal waves alone can change your life and your spine. Oh good, I want to make sure the video is still going. All right, so now we need our strap. So the hamstrings, in my opinion, are the greatest offenders with posture issues and also, that sinking into the low back. So the hamstrings attach right on the sit bones and they can just pull the pelvis right under. So if you have a yoga strap, you can use the loop. If you just have, a belt, you can just open it and use it like this. I'm gonna use it not with the loop. I'm just gonna use it like this because I think this is probably what most people are gonna have access to. So what I'm going to do is lie down first, and we're not gonna lie down, like we're gonna take a nap. It's going to be an active lying down. Let me move this so you guys can see. Move a little closer. So I'm rolling my shoulder blades under. So I'm almost like in a lying down but standing pose. I'm pretending I'm standing on a floor down there. My legs are active but not too tight. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my right knee in and give it a squeeze. So even just doing this, you might even feel a stretch on the top of the left leg. And from here, I'm just going to take our strap, place it around the ball of the foot. This is important. Make sure it's on the ball of the foot. And then just extend the leg up. You'll get acquainted with your hamstrings pretty quick. You can also feel this in your calf. So just take a few deep breaths here. So we also have a tendency to hold our breath when things are uncomfortable. So I invite you to deepen your breath whenever you feel certain parts of your body singing to you as we move through this. In this pose, it's very easy to let this hip come way up. The hip wants to hang out with the legs so bad, and follow it. So what we want to do is send this sit bone down. So you want to take a few deep breaths into your rib cage and just feel of how separate they feel. So you don't want this to be super short and the left one to be long. So by dropping the right sit bone, you're going to feel the sides are a little more even. Go ahead and bend your knee. And just lie flat for a moment and feel the difference between the right and the left sides. All right, let's bring the left leg in. Give it a squeeze. Again, you might feel that lengthening here. And let's strap the ball of the left foot and bring it up. Dropping the left sit bone down, breathing into the back of the leg. Good. And go ahead and bend the knee and lie flat. All right, let's bring both knees in. So when we go from a seated pose, from a lying down to a seated pose, we want to bring our knees in, roll to our side, and press up, keeping the head down. So we don't want to do some break dance move to get up off the floor. So that was for hamstrings. So let's take our blanket back and place it on our mat. And we're going to open up the fronts of the legs, hip flexors, front of the hips. You're going to have your two blocks towards the front of the mat. So the blanket is for the back knee. We're going to do a few lunges. I'm kind of zeroing in on the things that get tight when we sit a lot. So we're going to bring our right foot forward. So you want to make sure that when you're in the full expression of a lunge, that your knee is over your ankle. So you don't want the knee to be, flying past or, doing a split. When we're doing this for these purposes, you want to have the knee over the ankle as much as possible. So you might be acquainted with your hip flexors, the front of the left hip. You might also feel a little hamstring stretch on the right. So the lunges, anything that opens up the front body is preparing us for back bends. And back bends are nature's prescription for depression. Pain and fear can cause us to sink in, and this is just cracking the heart open. Finding our breath. And let's take it up a notch. So we're going to curl the back toes under and straighten the back leg, still keeping the right knee over the right ankle. Move forward so you can see a little bit better. So the blocks are helpful here because you don't want to end up rounding the spine here. You know, if you need higher, you can stack blocks, you know, find other things. You can add toilet paper to the top, you know, whatever you have. So you're reaching through your left heel, you're lifting your chest, and being sure you're not lifting your chin. And then slowly drop your left knee. And then also here, you can walk your blocks back and straighten the front leg and do another thing for the hamstrings. Great. All right, let's cook the other side. Left foot forward. And taking your time getting into it. You know, there's no rush. You've got time. So again, that arc here from the top of your knee all the way up here to the collarbone. You know, feel that opening, feeling the heart lifting. You know, drop your shoulders down. Curl the back toes under. Reach the right heel back, lifting the chest, knees over the ankle. And make sure that back leg is straight. So it's going to want to dip a little bit, but just reaching back. Back with the heel, forward with the chest, and then dropping the back knee. And then straightening the left leg, moving the blocks back. Great. All right, let's stand. Hopefully I'm still in the camera when I stand, sort of. I guess if you can't see my head, that's not the worst thing in the world. All right. So in our first standing pose, Tadasana, our mountain pose, it might look kind of simple, but there's a lot going on. And I like to use a block, you know, so you don't want something really, really heavy. If you have something that's more like foam, that won't hurt if you drop it and it, you know, lands on your toe. So I like to put it between the femurs. About your second toe should be forward. That's not going to be completely true with everybody. But I want you to lift up your toes, spread them and set them back down. And then feeling your inner and outer heel. So when I teach kids yoga, I imagine them, tell them to imagine that their feet are little cars. And the two wheels in front and the two wheels in back. And you want, you know, weight on all four. You want to feel like you're lifting up on your kneecap. I don't want you to be shoving your legs back and locking out your knees. But you want there to be some energy in the legs. And then feeling liberation here. You know, feeling a lift here. And then go ahead and bring your shoulders up, back, and down. And maybe slightly reach down with your fingertips and lift up through the top of your head. Sometimes I make my students walk around with a 10-pound sandbag on their head. So just owning your true adult height here. Good. And then try it without the block. All right, Virabhadrasana 2, or Warrior 2. So we start in Tadasana, and we're going to take a wide step out. So you might need to adjust once we get in the pose. We're going to take our left toes and point them towards the end of your mat. Going to take your back foot and just move the heel back a little bit. Your foot's at basically a 45-degree angle. Again, lift the toes, separate them. Going to inhale and then exhale the arms out. And then start to bend the front knee. Now, I don't typically just bend the front knee and I'm in the pose. I like to bend it a few times to get some blood through the leg. And then I find the knee over the ankle. And feel that you're reaching out from here, opening the chest and reaching through your fingertips. Exhale your shoulders away from your ears. The gaze is over the left fingertips. Exhale the arms down. Straighten the right leg. And then we're going to go the other direction. So pointing the right toes, left heel goes back. Exhale the arms out. And then let's bend the right knee a few times. So just to get some blood going. And then just land the knee over the ankle. And this back leg is very powerful. This is your warrior leg. This is the stability. It's your energy reaching out. Gazes over the right fingertips. Exhale down, straightening the front knee, checking on the video again. Oh, we're good. All right, so one more standing pose. We're going to need one of your blocks. And next class we'll do a few more standing poses. So we're going to step out. So it's going to be similar to Warrior 2. We're going to add something. Left toes go out. Right heel goes back. So we're not in a rush to get into the pose. The pose is not just the destination. It's all the adjustments. It's everything you do to get in the pose is also part of it. So bend the knee a couple times. So you're going to end up with the knee over the ankle. The block is to the left of your left ankle. So finding the knee. Left hand is going on the block. Back leg is straight and powerful. Now I like to do this. So reaching the fingertips towards your right ankle, going to bend the elbow. And then you're going to bring the elbow up. So the palm is facing the floor. It's okay, if this is pinching your shoulder a little bit, you can come up a little bit and open the chest. So finding a straight line from the right foot to the right fingertips. And breathe. And then coming up, taking a breath, and let's go to the other side. So the block will go to the right of the right ankle. If you want to bend the knee a couple times, go for it. So taking your time, right hand to the block, reaching the fingertips down, bend the elbow, shoulder, and reach. And then come up and back to Tadasana. All right, let's come back down to our mat. Going to do a stretch for the hips. So again, I'm a wimp, and I like to put a blanket if I'm going to lie down at all. I'll get better at this recording thing. It's my first time. All right, through the whole stretch. Now lie down on your back and then have your feet flat on the mat. going to cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Going to reach my right hand through the hole and get the back of my left thigh. So if you can't reach, where's my strap? So if you can't reach through the hole, if your hip is really tight, we've been sitting a lot, so understandable, you can put the strap behind your left thigh, and you can reach as far as you can. For those of you that can, you just interlace your fingers and just gently invite the left leg into the chest, and you should feel an opening in the hip. So taking a few deep breaths. And then let's change legs. So again, use the strap if you need to. Taking your time, there's no rush. A few deep breaths. And coming out. And let's hug our knees into our belly. We'll bring our arms out to the side, and we're going to bring our knees over to the left. And breathe. Knees back in. And knees to the right. And then just complete the roll onto the right side and press up. All right. I think we're going to move into Shavasana now. I think we've done enough for one session here. So Shavasana is our relaxation. You know, it's kind of where we, kind of integrate the things that we've done in our physical practice into our body, and we learn to rest deeply. So if I were to use the props that I have now for Shavasana, I would at least have something under your blanket. You want your head to be elevated to the point where the forehead is higher than the chin. And I also like something under my knees. So you want it under your head, not your shoulders. And you want your hands to be about a foot away from your body. You want your feet to kind of turn out, your hips to relax. So I like to imagine that everything, when we're in a fear response, we physically go in. We go into that fetal pose, we're curling in. So when we're in the opposite, when we're in a relaxed and open state, I feel like you are moving outward. So the arms are palm face up. Close the eyes. And notice any difference between you physically, mentally, emotionally from when you started. Sometimes our physical yoga practice can bring things up. Sometimes it settles us. Just draw your attention to your breath. and experience the breath as ripples and waves moving throughout the body. Relax your face and your jaw. Relax your throat. Feel your chest is open. Feel your belly soft. Feeling your hips relax, so your legs just kind of fold out. And feeling the earth rise up underneath you, so feel supported from underneath. And then just relax into the earth. And then start to deepen your breath. You can stay here for as long as you want. And when you're ready, you can start moving your fingers and your toes, your hands and your feet. You can eventually bend your knees, give them a squeeze. And roll onto your right side, so we're not in a hurry to get up. And then slowly press yourself up. And just find a comfortable seated position. Just bringing your hands into your heart. Just bowing into yourself. Thanking yourself for showing up today. You know, these are scary times. So anything that we can do to feel more connected within, more connected to each other, even in these strange new ways. Finding the gratitude in each little thing. Thank you, everybody. Namaste, y'all. Have a great day.